So today I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to bleach your European mounts or your deer skulls. So I have another video I'll link in here that shows how to do a European mount on a deer without a pressure washer. I use a pressure washer now, it's way easier. I'll leave a link in the description for the one that I use, but I have a couple deer here to do as well as a beaver skull too. So the little process I do on these skulls to clean them, I boil them in water and OxyClean for 20 to 30 minutes or so, take them out, pressure wash them clean, then I'll put them back in for like 5-10 minutes, a little more OxyClean, and just to get them a little more clean, and that'll pretty much get all the meat off these. And then I go ahead and soak them in warm water with Dawn dish soap for a few hours, and then I'll go ahead and just scrub them clean, scrub the antlers clean, and then let them dry, and we are at this step of the bleaching process. So in order to bleach skulls, there's a few things you're going to need. A lot of them you don't need, but I like to have them. I like to have plastic gloves. I like to have just these little turkey trays just to do the sculling, keeps it a little cleaner. Plastic wrap and electrical tape to wrap the horns up, to make sure the antlers up, to make sure that they don't get any bleach on them. And then what I use, we're going to need a brush, something to mix in, and then I use this Salon Care 40 volume cream peroxide, and you can just use this, but I have gone to using this, and I use this basic white powder. I'll mix a little in with that cream, and what the basic white powder does, I used to use the cream on a lot of them, but the basic white powder just tends to make a better product. It'll be a lot more white in the end, and just seems to do an overall better job. It's a little more expensive, so the cream will do just fine, but for the most part, the only things you really need are cream and a paintbrush. I forgot to mention too, this Salon Care 40 volume cream. You can order this. You can get it on Amazon. It's like $8 on Amazon for a bottle like this, or you can go to your local beauty supply store and grab a bottle. I don't have one here, so I went ahead and ordered. I ordered like 8 of these bottles off of Sally Beauty Supply. They're like $3.50 each, so they're not bad. And one of these bottles can do a lot of deer. Like I said, this will work just fine. This basic white powder, classic basic white, this stuff's a little more expensive. It's like $12 or something for this tub, and it'll do quite a few, but you'll probably go through like 3 of these bottles for one of these tubs. So you can get this from Sally Beauty Supply. I think I ordered that off eBay actually, but yeah. So the first thing, like I said, we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and wrap these antlers up at the base. We use some plastic wrap here, and then we're going to use some electrical tape, and what this does is make sure you don't get any peroxide on these antlers on these guys to whiten them up at all. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just like that. If you see, I didn't really wrap it a ton. Just kind of at the base of those antlers so we don't get any whitening agent on those. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix our formula or our bleach together. So take our cream. We're going to be pretty liberal here because I have a few skulls to do. We'll pour quite a bit in there. That was only like a third of the bottle probably. You have a little bit of cream in there. Then we're going to take a few scoops of this basic white powder. I'm going to do 2 for now. And then we'll go ahead and mix that together. And you, for consistency, how much powder you need to put in there, just put as much so that your cream, after you mix it in, that it's still a cream. You don't want it to be really hard. You still want it to be runny, but I'll kind of just show you the consistency. So if you go ahead and look at that, that's about the consistency we want. It's still runny, but it has that powder in there. That was only 2 scoops, and this is quite a bit of bleach. This is plenty for one deer, more than you need for one deer. So the next thing we're going to do after we have our mix all together here, I'm going to take my little pan here. I line the bottom of them with plastic wrap because it just seems to work a little bit better. It's a little bit easier. And pretty much all we do now is we're going to go ahead and take our skull. Make sure when you grab your horn antlers, use a glove that doesn't have any of the cream on it. So here's our skull. And we're going to go ahead, you can set it down in here. Take our paintbrush. And we're just going to go ahead and start painting this on. Pretty liberal amount everywhere. Make sure you get right up to the base of those antlers. Like I said, you want quite a bit, so go ahead and wipe it on. Don't be stingy with it. Helps if you pick up the antler and hold it too while you do it. Or the head. Want to make sure that we get both sides of the head here. Make sure you put a lot on those teeth because those teeth tend to be pretty stained depending on the age of the deer. So now we have pretty much all the skull covered here. Pretty liberal amount over everything. Make sure you get it in the nasal cavity. I like to get it in all these crevices in the nasal bones here. Get it through the eye socket on everything. I might have missed a little spot here. Can put some. Just like that. Make sure we get it all over here. And the next thing you're going to do, if you just leave it like this, you can let it sit just like this and that'll be fine. The only thing with letting it sit just open like this is when you add the powder to this cream, it dries up and it'll start to get foamy and bubbly on it, and it won't last very long. So what I like to do is I wrap the skull in plastic wrap, and that'll make it so this cream stays on the skull for a lot longer, and it'll whiten the skull for a lot longer period. Now we have it wrapped pretty well, and go ahead and we're going to leave it like this for probably a day or two. We'll look at it periodically to make sure that it's all working and that this cream that we have on here is still staying on and good. So this skull has been sitting for, I started it on Sunday afternoon and it is currently Tuesday morning, so it's been sitting for a couple days. I'm going to go ahead and unwrap the plastic wrap from it, and I'm just going to go ahead and just rinse it off in the sink, and I will take a look at it, see if it's white enough. If not, I'll go ahead and apply another layer onto it to get it a little better. So I just got done rinsing this off, just getting all that peroxide off there, and the skull is whitened up quite a bit, but it's definitely not as white as I'd like it, so I'm going to go ahead and whip up another batch of the cream peroxide and the powder whitener, and go ahead and put another layer on it, put a little more plastic wrap, and I'll probably let it sit for a couple more days. So I went ahead and put another layer on. Make sure when you do the second layer, if you have to do one, make sure you just focus on the spots that are a little greasy still, a little brown still. Especially focus up around the antlers here and on the top of the skull, because those tend to be the spots that will get the most coloration on them. So we'll go ahead and just leave this for a couple days, come back to it, and it should be good. A little more white than it was. Alrighty, so this skull has now been sitting. Now it's currently Wednesday afternoon, right around 4 o'clock. So this skull, after I put the second color on it, it's been sitting for more than 24 hours, so everything looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take this plastic wrap off, take the wrap around the antlers off, and I'm going to rinse it off in the sink here. So this skull is nice and rinsed off now, so the next thing I'm going to do is going to go ahead and get that out of the way. And just try to drain all this water off. And then I'll go ahead and set it on paper towel to dry. So as you can see, this skull is nice and white, especially as compared to before. Little tiny bit of yellow on top, but once it dries up, you will not even be able to see that. The teeth got nice and white too. We're gonna go ahead and let that dry. There's a fan above it for probably an hour or so, and then we're gonna do the final step. So the next step and final step we're gonna do, this has been drying for about an hour or so. It's nice and dry. I've had the fan going on it the whole time. I'm gonna go ahead and put a coat of, this is just Mop and Glow. Get it in any store. I just put it in a jar. It's easier to get out with a brush. And we're just going to take this Mop and Glow and we're going to put it right over the skull. Not on the antlers, unless you want a little shine to the antlers, but right on the skull, and that'll go ahead and seal the skull in and give it a little bit of a shiny coat. So now we have this skull all coated with Mop and Glow. We're just going to go ahead and let this sit for probably just dry off. Won't take too long with the fan going, and we will have a finished product. So now the skull is all dry. The Mop and Glow is on there. Left a little nice light shine to it. Can't really notice it that well, but it's just noticeable enough to add a little character to it. So here's the finished product, all done and ready to be sent off. And then I have these homemade little skull hangers. This is an example of one of those skull hangers on the wall. I have this buck here. Just put it on, and you can either have it hang down like this, so it's at a little bit of an angle, or some people might like it to be down more. You can also make it so it's hanging down on the wall like that and sticking out more. Hope you guys enjoyed how to bleach deer skull. If you have any questions or want to see me show how to make those homemade skull hangers, let me know. Thanks for watching.